We have more cases than anybody in the world. But why? Because we do more testing. When you test, you have a case. When you test, you find something is wrong with people. If we didn't do any testing, we would have very few cases. They don't want to write that. It's common sense. So we test much more, many, many times.
So that was President Donald Trump finally explaining how testing works, or finally understanding how testing works. I mean, kind of. I mean, he's right to point out that we have more cases of coronavirus than the rest of the world, despite not being the most populous. And we're also not the most populist, as you can tell. And look, we have a lack of testing. We don't have widespread testing, and yet we still have about 1,450,000 known cases of coronavirus. Now, we've also had 86,000 known deaths from the virus as of Thursday night. And the reason I say known, of course, is because numerous experts and officials are saying we have vastly undercounted this. Because we don't have widespread testing. It appears that it hit our shores much earlier than originally suspected. So there were a lot of deaths that may have been wrongly attributed to other things than coronavirus. And so the other part of it is that, going back to the testing here, it's very difficult for regular people to get tested, even if they have symptoms. And so that's still going on around the country. We still don't have enough tests for regular people. Not only that, but don't forget that there are a lot of people out there that only get mild symptoms, so they don't get tested because they don't go to the hospital. And then, of course, they're not counted. And then you have asymptomatic carriers. The only people that are being reliably tested happen to be in the White House, which of course makes sense, but they're the only ones really that are getting reliably tested. Everybody else, I don't know, they just told us to go pound sand, kick dirt, pound sand, whatever you want to say. So now the White House, as I mentioned, currently tests all employees daily that could come in contact with Donald Trump. And of course, that's been going on for some time, but you've still had staffers that have come down. You had Katie Miller, Stephen Miller's wife, an unfortunate victim, coming down with coronavirus. Then you've got one of Donald Trump's, I believe, valets, numerous Secret Service officers coming down with coronavirus, testing positive. And so, they are getting tested, right? Now, Trump still maintained for a long time that we're testing the most people, we've got the most tests, we're doing so much better than the other countries. I mean, you heard that there, right? He was about to go into talking about South Korea and how we're doing more testing in South Korea because physically we've done more tests because we have a larger population, but per capita, we're actually not doing as many tests as the other countries have done. And so, no, we're not ready to open up the country. And that's the thing, right? In order to open up the country, what we need is aggressive testing and we need contact tracing. Those two things are the most important things if you want to open up the country. Because, again, if you have widespread testing, you know who's sick. Contact tracing allows them to tell anybody who's been in contact with them that they could be sick and to go into isolation. The more people that we can isolate that have the virus, the safer it is for other people to go back out and to slowly reopen business. I want to reopen the country, but we need those two things. And I don't know why this is so difficult for the people in charge to understand. But of course, there's a reason. There's always a political reason, right? Now, he looks at this and says, well, if we do more testing, we're going to find more cases. More cases make Donald Trump look bad. Donald Trump looked bad. If Donald Trump looks bad, Donald Trump doesn't win the election. Well, then we'll just do less testing because we'll have less cases if we do less testing. Problem solved. we fixed it. Like if I don't see it, it doesn't exist. Is Donald Trump lacking in object permanence? Is that the issue? Maybe it is. Like, I wonder if you like hide something behind your back, if Donald Trump no longer thinks it's there, no longer thinks it exists. Where did it go? Where did the dollar go? It went behind you. It's gone now. No, Donald, it's right here. It's right here. Oh my God, it's like magic. He came back. No, the guy's a moron. But he's also a sociopathic moron. And so I think this is, of course, a case of political expedience, right? Because, again, the less cases that there are publicly, ergo the less testing, the more he can say, look at how low our infection rate really is. And, of course, I believe Kushner had warned Trump against doing more widespread testing because of that very reason. So always, of course, it always comes down to Donald Trump winning, right? He doesn't care about the American people. He doesn't care about, people getting sick. He doesn't care about people that are dying. No, he wants to have low numbers so that he can say, look, we should open up the country, have the stock market go back up, which, by the way, the stock market has stabilized and is actually doing a lot better now. And so he can point to that and say, look at me. The economy is doing really, really well. Everybody's open back up. We've beaten Corona. I'm the best president ever. When in reality, no, we haven't beaten Corona. In fact, we're not even through the first wave. And then, God forbid, there's a second wave. Not good. This is disastrous. Now, of course, there are on the other side people saying, hey, this is political. All you want to do is attack Donald Trump. No, all we want is actual leadership. We want leadership in a crisis. We want a president that takes this seriously. Had Donald Trump been taking the right steps and ordering, first ordering N95 masks, which he had the ability to do so, right? And not only that, but there were instructions on what to do in the case of a pandemic. All set up, waiting for Donald Trump. When he took over, that was the Obama playbook. He threw it out. No, we're not interested in that. No, that was the Obama plan. We're going to throw out the Obama plan, and then we have no plan. Absolutely no plan. They could have, manufactured millions of N95 masks as the Obama administration had laid out, right? Had set up. They didn't. They didn't take this seriously. They didn't do the right steps. Had they done so, I'd give them credit. I'd be like, oh, he actually handled this competently, like an adult. Great, wonderful. The whole idea, and the reason I bring that up, right? The whole idea that we want a president to fail and more people to die is absurd. It is absurd. It's unhinged. It's likely projection. Because I think they think like that. Like, oh, yeah, no, we would totally sacrifice people if it meant we had an advantage. No, of course. The whole point, though, in criticizing Trump and his mistakes is that maybe, I don't know, somebody can learn from them and do better. I mean, at this point, it's very clear that he's not going to do better. He doesn't want to. He just wants to ignore this. Like he's over it. Like he's like, I'm sick of it. I'm going to go focus on other things. And call for the country, of course, to open up, which, of course, would be an unmitigated disaster without, again, those two things, aggressive testing and contact tracing. We can't do it. But the interesting thing about this is that he is kind of admitting, it's saying the quiet part out loud, that if we do less testing, we find less cases. Of course. Like, everybody knows that. But he's just like, hey, you know what? If we do more testing, we find more cases. No. By the way, testing doesn't cause more cases, as he says, right? Oh, you do more testing and it gets more cases. It doesn't cause the cases. No, you find more cases because it's math. It's common sense. You do more testing, and yes, you will find that more people are infected. Then you can actually do something about it. But again, he doesn't want to do that. Instead, he wants to do less testing and you got to call it what it is. Grossly negligent, but completely on brand for Donald Trump. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.